I'm my friend Dr. Dan Stickler, who's with us today. Uh, he, I believe, is one of the greatest doctors in the world. If you know my journey, I had such a hard journey with doctors. Uh, I think it took me the opposite direction of what I wanted for most of my life. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop with doctors. I'm going to go on the natural path. And then what I found is really an alchemy where I met someone. I asked the divine, I want to manifest a doctor who is psychic, who is conscious, who is awesome, just like a fun person too, and just gets what's going on and can really use what's best of the Western model, the Eastern model, just has uh, both the ancient ways and the most cutting edge futuristic technologies all in one. And so I'm just going to read a short intro here. Dr. Daniel L. Stickler, the visionary co-founder of the Apeiron Center, is redefining healthcare with a pioneering spirit and systems optimization and age rejuvenation medicine. His remarkable expertise in leveraging system science transcends traditional medical paradigms, offering a future-forward approach utilizing systems health. As a leading figure in clinical trials that shape the next horizon of human enhancement, Dr. Stickler's practice is a beacon of innovation. Current trials, he's doing trials on gene therapy and all sorts of incredible things we might get into. Young plasma, with his team's roles as clinical faculty at both the Age Management Medical Group and the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, medical director at the Neurohacker Collective and Mosaic Biodata, and a seat on the Scientific Advisory Board for True Diagnostics and Pristine Regenerative Nexus. His contributions to medicine are both multifaceted and influential. Dr. Stickler's acumen extends to Silicon Valley, where he served as a Google consultant, harnessing wearable technology, epigenetics, and the AI to transform healthcare. His knowledge is sought after globally with guest lectures at institutes like Stanford University, where he illuminates the applications of epigenetics in clinical practice. So yeah, bunch of stuff here. And thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, glad to be here. That was a mouthful, Daniel.
I'm proud of myself, but that's just a small percent of what I know about you. And, we've had some amazing adventures together. And not only have you transformed my physical health, but also my spiritual health. And I love how you connect it all together. So I'd love to start by just kind of hearing, you've been around the block. You've seen so many things, you've seen the current system. And I'd love to just hear from you. What is your current perspective on where medicine is heading based off where the system was and what you see as the future?
Yeah, I mean the current system is pretty severely broken. It's based on a reductionistic model that has essentially been outdated. The it's interesting. I actually have some slides that will transition us through the changes in medicine, but it did start off as more of a holistic approach, and then it became more of this reductionism. And it can't be reductionism to be successful moving any further forward. I mean, reductionism got us so far, but that's not the way uh, to really practice medicine. And what we're doing is shifting into a more systems-based approach that that I'll go into some details on. But we're spending excessive amounts of money and not making the progress that we thought we should have made by now. And it's because of our thinking.
100%. Yeah. So being in a holistic paradigm and seeing how everything relates to each other, what are one of the breakthroughs that you've been working on that you feel would be good to share to everyone here? Because people have been struggling so much with their health, and there's so many solutions now that are available.
Yeah, so we've been practicing systems health for about the last 6 years, and the results with our clients are spectacular. It's a whole new way of looking at the human system from what I call it the true holistic approach, because holistic approach can have various meanings, and a lot of people think they're practicing holistic medicine, and it's falling short in some ways because it's still falling back on that reductionism. That's that's what I've seen. I mean, I see people speak on, holistic integrative approaches, and they get the basic concept of it, but they haven't taken it to the full extent of what holistic means to the human system.
When I started with you, I was surprised at how many different tests we did, but then it explained everything, like my genetic test. Like I could never eat corn, for example, and even like organic corn, organic popcorn, it must be good. And I would just feel horrible. And, it's just, I'm not genetically designed for that. And so I was able to, you also gave me like a map of consciousness, so it was just like mind, body, spirit, genetics. And within just a few weeks, it's already explained like the majority of my issues and started transforming them. So this systems-based approach is, I feel like, not only the future, I don't see why there's even anything else out there, because that's what we need, I think, to really understand what's going on, especially with the complexity of the toxins and all the different things going on right now in our world, to really listen deeper to our bodies. We get to really, obviously intuitively we can listen to our bodies, but this, like the genetic testing, for example, is a way to listen at the deepest level and actually hear the stories of what's going on. So how do
Well, it's like you
people,
said,
yeah,
data is the key here. I
yeah,
mean, the more data we have, the better. And, systems thinking has been around since the 1930s, and it kind of picked up momentum towards the end of the last century. And now it's becoming forefront because of AI. I mean, to to really focus on systems, there's a lot of chaos involved in the way you analyze things. It's not algorithms. It it has to be predictive models, and um, people were just too overwhelmed by it. They tried to implement this in the UK back in 2008 with the foresight obesity map that was going to cure obesity through a systems approach. And what happened is they created this massive map. I mean, it was so good. And the problem was the policymakers couldn't understand it. And so none of it was ever implemented. And it was truly the way to keep that obesity epidemic from happening in the first place. But by 2011, they had completely abandoned it. And now with the AI, it's exciting. We're actually building a large human systems model that will be an AI assistant to really help understand the full systems aspect of things and look for these relationships um, and connections between different systems.
wow, that's incredible. Because I feel like even for the top doctors I've seen now, it's so much information, and we're getting more and more availability for testing. So that's absolutely incredible that we can start making connections and making it easier for us to actually make choices out of what's going on right now.
It's funny, when I went into medical school, I didn't anticipate what I encountered at all. I mean, I was excited. I thought medicine was about helping people to have a better quality of life overall. And it turns out it was just postponing death is what it was. It was, how do we intervene to postpone death? I ended up going into surgery because I enjoyed that aspect of it, and it was something that I could actually intervene and improve quality of life for many people. And then I realized that majority of the surgeries I performed could have been prevented many years earlier had somebody stepped in. And I eventually left surgery and started focusing on this approach to wellness. And, you know, the the Eastern religions understood it long ago, that it's all about the harmony with everything. They don't necessarily see illness or sickness as something broken in the person. They see something that is out of coherence in the system or out of harmony in the system. And that's the way we look at things. We don't see anybody as broken or ill or sick. There's just aspects of their system that is out of harmony with the rest of the system. And that's empowering for people. That's something that the current medical system um, really emphasizes. I mean, you know, even when we talk about cancers, it's always, you know, I'm going to beat this, I'm going to defeat the cancer, I'm going to kill these cancer cells. And it's really, I mean, these are cells that are part of the person. They're part of you. And they're just holons within that that have lost the ability to communicate with the rest of the system. And an approach of really looking at how can we get these cells to communicate again and understand that they're part of this system. I mean, they're isolated from the system. That's why they do what they do. They're just behaving in a way that is what they're programmed, or they're them as a holon, as an organism. That's all they know to do because they can't communicate with the rest of the system. And this is a concept that I think really needs to come back into medicine, is this approach. I mean, even the Greeks, when they first um, started looking at medicine, they were very holistic. They were looking at the balance between the four humors in the body, and they considered environmental aspects as part of the health system, an integral part of it for sure.
Mm. Well, I'm glad we're bringing it back. And I just had a memory of the first time I came to your lab, and uh, you have some pretty cool devices there. And you know, one of the things that blew me away is the brain training I did with your wife, Dr. Micra. They actually mapped out, I think it's the scientist Joe Dispenza uses, actually interpreted my brain,
Mm-hmm.
and she was able to tell, I'm like, oh, you're really psychic, but you have trouble with this and this. And I was like, you know, just knew, I was like, whoa, I didn't realize that was in my brain. Like, I just thought that was my personality or something like that. And they're, you know, just in a few days sending different types of frequencies and sound waves to regenerate and balance my brain, which was a game changer. And I remember after a few days, I hope this is not too graphic, but I just, my heart opened so much. I just wanted to like make love to the wall. I just like, I was at my house. I was like, I love you, house. Yes. And I was like, I've never done that before, you know, and it was just like, my heart actually opened so big from just balancing my brain. So can you share just a little bit about, you know, what you've seen with that technology? I know there's a few things like that at your lab here, but that really blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, all of the tools that we have are designed to gather more information on the overall system. Like we had a guy the other day who had some gut dysbiosis, some mood disorder, like he was feeling depressed, and he he had poor sleep. I mean, there were many things going on, adrenal fatigue. And when we analyzed it from that systems approach, you know, he had a little bit of microbiome that needed some correction, but he also had um, overactive activity in the brain, high beta activity, and the low cortisol or adrenal fatigue. And all three of those systems actually interact. And so we're looking at, you know, what is something that is really along these pathways that we can work with. So, you know, we put him on some probiotics and some other things for the gut, but we did the brain training as well to bring down the beta activity. And all of these systems interacted in a way that, let me just give you the example of it. So he had elevated beta glucuronidase levels and low akkermansia and elevated secretory IgA in the gut. And this indicates dysbiosis and chronic inflammation. The dysbiosis impacted neurotransmitter production and contributed to the observed central nervous system over-arousal. The fast alpha in the brain and excess beta activity in the brain suggested a hyperactive nervous system, which could exacerbate the gut issues. So these are going back and forth in a bidirectional manner. And so we implement interventions that are going to work on both systems simultaneously to help correct these issues. And it's amazing the rapidity of how these symptoms all turn around for a person.
That's incredible. And most doctors, most people just have no idea of the connection of those things, because usually you go to a heart doctor or you go to a doctor for your colon, and they don't make the connections of these things, but that's so crucial right now.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God that you hatched into this reality somehow. I'm so much better, and just really grateful. Um, and so you have for people that are interested in working with you now, which I love, you have a really simple and I believe really affordable Tele Wellness program. So how does that work for people that are not in Austin, Texas, especially?
Well, the Tele Wellness we can do in all but 4 states, I believe, right now. And it's a brand new program. We just launched it. But we wanted to be able to get this style of medicine out there to the general public. I mean, we tried for years. My wife is a former colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and we tried to get in with the military because they're usually open to these things, but it just wasn't going anywhere. And so we decided to do a grassroots type approach, and then we got an all-star team with our large human systems model that we're building, that we're going after about $12 million in funding right now to get this thing launched and really automating a lot of the process.
Mm. Yeah, I'm really excited. I have a couple of my students are on it now, and they're day and night already. We have someone in, I think, the UK, and just able to connect all the data and really give someone the answers to what their issues are in a holistic way is just a game changer. And you even have like an energy healer that comes to your office. I mean, it's literally such a multidimensional place. Special IVs. Another thing I just did, I think a month ago with you guys, was the EBO2. Um, I think for people that are really wanting to really purify themselves, that's probably the best thing out there. Could you explain that for just a minute, how that works?
Yeah, we have the UV3 machine, which is EBU, extracorporeal blood oxygenation and ozonation, but we also have UV light exposure with it and full spectrum red. But it pulls blood from one arm, returns it in the other arm after running it through the machine. And I mean, it's pretty impressive with the way people feel after they've been through it. And then it seems like it lasts longer, this well-being feeling. I mean, people just say, my metrics improved. I'm sleeping so much better. My heart rate variability went up. And heart rate variability is one of the best measures of health in people, the movement of it, not necessarily the absolute value always, but the movement that goes with a new intervention or a new lifestyle change. If it's a positive direction, it's beneficial for the system. But EBU is really good with just really amplifying the immune system and getting the immune cells to kind of come alive. Best way that I can put it. I'm not sure what causes the elevated well-being that people get. I'm not sure what's actually doing that part of it, but it seems pretty consistent with the people that are doing it.
I mean, my guess is you just have destroyed the majority of bad things in your body. I mean, basically, for people that haven't done it, it takes your blood out. You get it filtered, so there's like a bucket of weird things that just come out.
Foam.
It's foam literally, and then you ozonate the entire blood, and then it goes through all these different frequencies and lights that I heard one of them actually stops like mold and viruses from replicating, things like that, so that by the time the blood actually goes back into the other arm, it's like pure blood, and all the bad things are either disabled, destroyed, filtered out. And I think your body's just like, whoa, thank God I don't have to spend most of my energy just fighting all this stuff, especially in this toxic world. So that's definitely saved my life, because I had mold. If you haven't heard, my house got mold, and it's like, oh my God, my brain, what's going on? And just felt this like instant difference within 30 minutes of clarity just from that. So another game changer. And the other thing you have is the apheresis. And how does that differ in terms of the filtration, would you say? And what is that used for? What would someone use that for versus the EBU?
Yeah, so apheresis is a treatment where we draw off blood, spin it, and then give you back your red cells, but get rid of the plasma. And the plasma contains a lot of proteins, inflammatory cytokines, and in there are things that are causing inflammation in the body. There are things that are causing damage throughout the body. Different things like spike proteins that can get removed with that plasma. So we take off about a liter of plasma, and then we replace it with saline and albumin to give the volume back. So essentially, you come in, it takes about an hour, and you have a liter of plasma removed, which is about 40% of your plasma volume. And you get clean, fresh proteins and a saline solution that is like a fresh start for 40% of your plasma. Works really well. We've seen it work well for people with long COVID, people with mold, people with SIRS, the chronic inflammatory response syndrome that occurs from many different pathogens. But it's been pretty consistent with the results that we're seeing with it. And there is some good research that has been done on it, especially with COVID, long COVID.
Another incredible technology there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times years ago, and it's totally a game changer too. And maybe for some of you, because some people here probably, if it's not sprouted, they're not going to eat the almond. So this is a little bit more of a technology thing. But I'm curious if you want to share a little bit about the full statin and all of that, this cutting edge new therapy that's out there, because most people don't even know that it exists or that it's possible.
Yeah, I'm working with a company called minicircle.io, and they've developed these plasmids that that you inject into muscle or fat, and these plasmids are circles of DNA that are made by E. coli bacteria, but they're made so that they create human proteins. And follistatin is a protein that helps to build muscle and diminish body fat, that as we age, those levels rapidly diminish. And you inject this plasmid, it goes into the cells, it actually goes into the nucleus, but it does not incorporate into the DNA. It just sits inside the nucleus and utilizes the machinery that's in there to transcribe this protein. And they've got it down to really understanding exactly how much, so much of the injection will produce. And um, I had this injection done a year ago, actually a year ago this month. And it was pretty incredible. I mean, without changing any lifestyle stuff, in the first 6 months, I had gained um, 6 pounds of muscle and lost 10 pounds of fat without any change in my routines during that time. And the really cool thing is it lasts generally 2 to 5 years in the cells. So when the cells die or turn over, you lose the plasmid. But the other advantage is it has a kill switch on it. So if it should be causing any problems, which we haven't seen that happen, but one person lost too much body fat. We had to turn it off. But you just give a 3-day course of tetracycline and it completely destroys the plasmid, which is really incredible. Actually just did one called Clotho the other day, which is the longevity protein. People with the highest levels of Clotho have the greatest health span, cognitive wise and physically. And so we're hoping this one does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, one of your top specialties is just longevity and anti-aging. So I'm wondering, for just everyone here listening, is there some type of hack or cool advice that you learned, that just like something simple they could do at home that can help increase their longevity?
Oh yeah, I mean, 75% of longevity and health span is related to lifestyle factors. I mean, don't smoke. I also say don't drink, which is something a lot of people don't want to give up. But get plenty of sleep, eat healthy, really pay attention to environmental exposures, and exercise. Exercise is probably the biggest impactor overall. But I mean, this is 75% of what will predict health span and longevity.
Yeah, and that's good news, because that's we don't need as many fancy things if we don't have the foundation. Get the foundation right first, and then you can always add on from there. I had to learn that the hard way, so I'm really focusing on the foundation on myself, and I feel better than ever. um, and what about for someone here, I'm just curious, we're just starting to get some questions here. Someone's asking about MS. I know a few people actually have been struggling with MS. Any recommendations for those people?
There's actually some new treatments that are coming out that are showing some pretty impressive promise. I know one. There's an IV treatment that got investigational new drug approval for Alzheimer's, but in studies outside of the U.S., they have used it with MS patients with some decent results. It's a anti-galectin-3 antibody, and we've been using it in the clinic with Alzheimer's, and it's having quite a nice impact, improving actually cognitive function, not just delaying, but improving it. And hopefully, we're part of this study on it that allows us to use it right now, so that they can get the data to show that it's something that should get final approval from the FDA for that purpose.
Wow, that's really good to know. Yeah, that's got a couple of friends with that. And someone, a lot of people are dealing with, cognitive decline, or they have a parent with Alzheimer's, dementia. And you've worked with a lot of peptides, and maybe other things. I know you actually sell the edible BPC on your website, which is a great supplement. If someone hasn't tried that, that's an easy way to, instead of injecting it, you can just kind of order the pill. We'll put the website here in a minute, but any advice for people that are in cognitive decline to regenerate?
Yeah, I mean, really just do the research. There's a lot of stuff coming right now. I saw that the FDA approved a new investigational device for use in clinics that are in the study, where it's radio frequency helmet that people wear for an hour a day. And it's showing that it's breaking up a lot of the plaques and tangles that occur. That's similar to what we're doing with the TB006 IV infusion, just using a frequency rather than a drug to do it. But I mean, you know, I've got my finger on the pulse of everything right now, and the stuff that is coming is so incredible. I mean, there's a company out of Silicon Valley called Turn Bio, and they've developed a epigenetic reprogramming of aging where they can insert these messenger RNAs, and I know that's a dirty word for a lot of people, but there are actually good ones that are used. But what this one does is it uses 3 of the 4 Yamanaka factors, which are factors that reset cells to youthful levels. And they have been using it in animal studies, microneedling it into the skin, and the fibroblasts are taking on a profile 30 years younger than what they were. And that's both in structure and function. So it's actually rejuvenating skin back to up to 30 years earlier, which is truly incredible. They can do it with liver. They just got a huge contract with a Korean company that is working on hearing and vision to epigenetically reprogram the cells there. But that is a huge intervention. There's a company, I think they're not from Australia, but they're doing human trials in Australia where they give an injection and it will regrow missing teeth. Full adult teeth can be regrown even when the tooth has been pulled and completely gone. It's regrowing teeth. All the animal studies were flawless with it, so they got their first approval to start it in humans sometime this year in Australia.
That's mind blowing. I mean, that just shows us that we have in our genetics that God's design, already in us. And, there's so many kind of phenomena from phantom limbs. I know also I did xenon therapy. People regrow fallopian tubes that have been snipped with xenon. So there's obviously something that's still there in the signature of the body that can signal your body to regrow itself with a little help. It's pretty mind blowing. You just talked about a few minutes ago, because someone just asked about Parkinson's. I think you said that the TB006 IV, is there a test you have to test if you have plaque in the brain? How does that work if someone has something like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's?
Right now, we can only use it for Alzheimer's, and
Okay.
it's a pretty simple criteria. You have to have an MMSE2 score of 24 or less, and you've had to have tried one of the drugs for dementia without success. And that's a pretty simple criteria to clarify. Just any drug that can be taken for a week or so and not have success with it. But we have a client right now who's done. You have to do an infusion once a month for 6 months, and he's coming in for his fifth infusion. But right before his 4th infusion, we repeated his MMSE2, and he went from an 18 up to a 19 already, just 3 infusions, which is big. I mean, the guy has his humor back. His wife is, and they're a couple that just deeply loved each other for so long.
Mm.
And he's starting to be more engaging now. He actually goes out and drives by himself and doesn't have to call and ask for directions, which she's excited about. It just seems like his sense of humor has come back, and it's just really impressive to see that.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I, yeah, I love when that happens, and so beautiful that we have these technologies now, because a lot of people just feel like, oh, okay, you have Alzheimer's, okay, you're done, and now it's like, wait, there's actually things you can do for pretty much anything now. It's pretty mind blowing. Someone just asked about hormones, a woman that has fluctuating hormones, and I forgot to say that you're also one of the top experts in hormones. So obviously that would require some testing, and I would invite anyone to get some tests and work with you for that, because you really help balance my hormones. But is there anything you can just say in general about hormones for people wondering about that, having struggled with them?
Yeah, I mean, they're finally coming to terms with the Women's Health Initiative and the nurses health study that they really reported it negatively. And for the past 20 years, they have been unfair for women on hormone replacement therapy, with the complications that they scared all the women away from it, scared all the doctors away from using it. I've been pretty deep into hormone replacement therapy since 2005, so almost 20 years now. And women definitely were the ones that were hurt by the medical criteria for hormone replacement. But that's changing now. And the one thing that most women don't know is that, from a quantitative standpoint, testosterone is the most abundant sex hormone in males and females. They use different units for how much estrogen you have, and it makes it look like it's like hundreds of times more estrogen, but the testosterone is one of those quality of life hormones. I mean, it's the well-being hormone and the sleep hormone. I mean, it does all these things that are so beneficial in the system. And because of the estrogen being associated with the primary female hormone, women were ignored in testosterone. And at menopause, you lose the testosterone too. And replacing the testosterone has been huge for well-being in women. Estrogen therapy alone has been modest, but when you add testosterone therapy to it, it's a huge improvement in quality of life.
This is getting a lot of questions now because it seems to be influencing a lot of people here. Someone just asked, is PCOS treatable with this? What is PCOS?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome. And some people attribute that to excess testosterone, but I haven't seen that. I've treated PCOS with hormonal therapies, just getting the hormonal profile back to a youthful expression. And with that, changing dietary patterns, exercise patterns, getting the weight loss, because most PCOS does come with weight gain. And um, there's not just, oh, okay, this is the one thing you do to treat that. I mean, there is no root cause for it, but there are root causes, pathways, interactions that contribute to it. And that's what we're working with when we have a client that has that going on.
Mm. And someone's also just asking about a remedy for herpes, but I think I saw the mini circle. They're working on something there, right?
Mini Circle's been working on that for a while now. But this is something that has been out for a while that works for a fair amount of people. I mean, it's the Shingles vaccine, and I know vaccines can be a dirty word sometimes, but I don't tend to group all vaccines under one category. There are good vaccines and there are bad vaccines for sure. The Shingrix is what they use for people that are prone to shingles. And there have been several studies that looked at taking 2 doses of Shingrix vaccine over a 6-month period, and it keeps herpes outbreaks down in the majority of people for years, like 5, 6 years. And it's been pretty impressive. I've had a couple people that had great responses to it. I've had a couple people, everybody reduces their incidence of outbreaks, but there are some people that still get them even after that protocol. But it's a possibility to work. I know people that are so miserable with it that it's worth trying. And we haven't seen any side effects from it. So. I think Daniel froze there. So let me see if I can answer some of these questions that are in there. Sudden weight, muscle, and energy loss. You can't find help for it over a year. Tests show no issue. That can, I mean, that can be any number of things. And really what you want to do is just keep at it. Keep looking at the tests. You know, some of the energy workers can sometimes, oh, Daniel's texting me now. His reception is down. But some of the energy workers have been able to guide some tests in our office that have found things that we wouldn't have thought of. So it's been, it's just keep going after it. Don't give up on it. There's reasons for everything. Doctors that throw their hands up and say, you know, all your tests are negative. I can't find anything wrong with you. I just had a recent client with multiple joint pains that was debilitating for him, and we're working with that right now because all of his tests were negative. All the specialists basically gave up on him because they can't find anything.
Wow. Got cut off there for a second, but I'm back, and seems we're answering a lot of questions here. I'm just so happy that people have all these issues that we have solutions for, you know, just really feeling that. One more, I just keep seeing this one over and over again, is the a heavy metal detox. That's been an issue for so many people, and there's so many ways you could do it, right? IVs, chelation. Anything you found that really you recommend now for people?
No.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many tests out there, and the problem is most of these metals they stay in tissue. It's not like they're mobile and they can move. They get into the tissue, and so measuring blood levels, measuring red blood cell levels, urine levels, hair samples, the validity of those tests in showing accuracy as to what the heavy metal load is in the body is not there right now. Um, you know, if you have high levels of lead or mercury, that's all going to be based on recent exposure right now. And even doing the tri test, I mean, I did the tri test for years from Quicksilver, and I got inconsistent results. I mean, I would send two samples on the same patient and got inconsistent reports from those. The blood levels were consistent, but like the hair and urine were inconsistent. So, you know, and it's probably the premier test out there that people use. I just haven't found anything convincing enough for me on that. Now, if based on history, it's a possibility, then, you know, a mild chelation treatment and modification of environmental factors is the key for that. Measuring air quality in the home, looking at the air quality index for your zip code on a regular basis. You can determine how much exposure you get to all the different particulate matters, pollens, pollution. All of the things that you need to know can be found, you know, I think it's just called AQI.com, which is an air quality index that you can search your zip code on a daily basis and see what's happening. And getting purifiers for the home, you know, not using plastics, get some type of filter system for all your water. I mean, you know, you really anymore the microplastics and nanoplastics are the things that are really worrisome for me right now.
Yeah, same. It's definitely avoiding, getting some spring water in glass, and that's why it's like there's so many things right now. I think we should start just living in communities with all of our biohacking equipment and clean water because it's, just living on the grid right now is you have to do so many things to keep yourself healthy. But
Well, I have rainwater collection and reverse osmosis, so
oh,
I
cool.
I think we have pretty clean water here.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know you had that at your home.
But the simplest thing is to get a Berkey filter and get the black Berkey, the branded black Berkey filter. The knockoff filters, they've been tested and not showing great results with them. But the black Berkey filter and get the PF2 filters to go on the bottom side of it, that will pretty much purify most impurities in the water.
Yeah, Berkey's really good, viable option there. And let's say you do have a lot of heavy metals. Do you recommend more of the IV chelation or suppositories, or is there supplement?
A lot of supplementation. I mean, that's one of the best things to do because what you're trying to do, you have to be careful and really go to somebody who knows what they're doing with the chelation therapy because chelation therapy chelates everything in the body. So, it's not like specific for heavy metals. It's going to take out other minerals and metals that the body needs as well. So you've got to be replacing those while you're doing the chelation therapy to get rid of them. But it's not going to pull from the load that you have in the body. It's going to pull from what you're taking in recently. I mean, they say there's these provocation tests that can pull it out. It'll pull it out a little bit from these long-term body stores, but like when people lose weight, when especially with all of this GLP-1 agonist medications, people are losing massive amounts of weight, but the fat contains so many toxins. And when these fat cells are used up for energy, they're releasing all of these toxins. I've seen people get sick from all the toxins that are being released from that. And one of the best things is just get on a good supplementation program that will chelate or that will help with the body getting rid of these toxins. I mean, just something simple like taking a glycine plus NAC combination, but you have to take it for several weeks to do that, and at high doses. I mean, anywhere from um, 2.5 grams of glycine and 2.5 grams of NAC, all the way up to 5 grams of each. There was a study at Baylor that did that, and they showed that the glutathione levels in the body went up massively with that at 16 weeks of supplementation. It went up in the glutathione level in red blood cells, in muscle, and doing that, inflammatory markers went down. I mean, that's a simple way to really leverage the body's ability to get rid of these toxins is to boost the glutathione system.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, and glycine is great for so many things. I take it at night. It also just can help you
Yeah.
relax, right, and chill your nervous system out. So I think that's an inexpensive thing people can get. And also NAC. I heard they're starting to not sell that on some websites, so it's good to.
Actually, they've released the NAC. So
Oh, it's fine now. Okay, good.
yeah, and there's a new form of it out that's coming out that is a little bit more bioavailable too.
Oh, really? Do you know what it's called?
I can't think of the name of it right now.
Oh, okay. Is there like an extra molecule on it, or is it like a liposomal form?
No, it's an actual molecule. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
similar to NAC. It's just got a different attachment to it, to one of the tails.
Wow, this is so exciting. Yeah, I know you've gone so deep also into can, I'm just curious, just to get a microdose of the spiritual wisdom, because everyone here is really part of our spiritual community. What is the lineage that you've been going deep in, and is there any intuitive code that you feel like sharing just about consciousness with us as we all dive deeper into our health journey?
Yeah, I mean, this is all very, very personal. It's not one that, and I'm not dogmatic about the belief system and lineages and all of that, but I do. I'm in intensive study with Vajrayana Buddhism, but I'm also into non-dual Shaivistic Tantra, which was the precursor of Vajrayana Buddhism, but also Taoism and Neo-Confucianism. Um, but all of these, the common thing with all of these is the oneness and the connectedness and the relationships with everything. I mean, the Taoists were practicing systems health back thousands of years ago. I mean, and we're acting like it's some new thing. But the harmony and the coherence with the way that we interact with the world, with ourselves and others. I mean, it's beautiful to see that, but you know, we've in the Western philosophy since the Greeks. I mean, we've taken on this us against nature, you know, that we can conquer nature. And in the East, they were always like, hey, we're part of nature. Nature is us. It's part of our system. And harmonizing with it is the key to happiness. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, and I feel like the more we connect to that oneness, the healthier we are because we're in harmony with the truth of what is in our true nature.
Mhm.
So the more we can feel that connectedness and have healthy relationships with all of life, I think that's a big piece of the puzzle there when you mentioned lifestyle and longevity. I'm putting the link here in the chat for everyone now because people are asking from Tele Wellness. So that's your that's a pretty affordable program where anyone can around the world pretty much, or at least in the, is it just in the US right now, or do other countries?
Well,
Um,
we modify it for other countries.
okay.
We'd like to have them visit our center in Austin if they can, but we can do Tele Wellness in other countries. We just can't prescribe, and it's kind of hard for us to order tests. So, you know, a lot of our clients that we have around the world, they travel to the US periodically. And what we do is we'll get the battery of tests that we typically get. And we can get these tests anywhere in the United States, essentially. So we can order them for them as they're passing through, get those done, and then we have the results that we can use to give them directions. We can prescribe for them while they're in the US, so they can usually take medication back with them without a problem. But it's a little different program because we're not licensed to prescribe in other countries, but if we prescribe it here and they take it with them, it's okay.
Yeah, I had an amazing student of mine just transform, and she's in Europe but came here, and so if anyone's international and want to come visit, we could also do a little session or have tea, and then go to this incredible clinic with all these alien devices. We don't talk about it. That's what I call them. There's just heavenly technologies here. I highly recommend considering it, and you can go on this website, or we're gonna also email you the replay and put all the links in there. But I just wanted to really share this because I think everyone should have access to this type of information and the real way of how health should be, where we really look at all the pieces. And I'm seeing Danuta, yes, gonna make a trip to Texas. Let me know. Would love to see you. And yeah, we have someone in the UK wanting to do it. So I would love to see you all, and it's a beautiful place to kind of come here and really, you know, after the testing, it's also a breath of fresh air because you're like, what is going on, right? And a lot of people have a lot of questions here, but it's hard really to answer a lot of the questions without getting some tests, right? Because that's really to know the root cause of it. It could be many different things, and like you said, sometimes they're bidirectional, they influence each other. So do you have any parting words for people on this health journey? Anything else you want to share with the community?
I mean, really, the easy things to do are the lifestyle. I mean, lifestyle is, there's a lot of people giving advice on lifestyle. You know, what's the diet du jour and all that. Diet should be a diet that is, well, one, in alignment with your genetic heritage, because you're carrying genes that predispose you to do better with certain diets. Like people with an Asian descent, you know, putting them on a Western carnivore diet or something like that is not going to be healthy for them. But like somebody that would be an Inuit Eskimo heritage, which not many of those, but that can happen. You need to be on a high fat diet because your genetics have adapted over time to a high fat intake. So you've got to consider all of these factors from a, you know, European standpoint. Definitely the Mediterranean diet seems to be the best genetically that I've seen for most people, especially like a uh, very vegetable heavy, olive oil heavy, and seafood heavy diet with some eggs. I mean, fish and eggs are ideal proteins. Vegetarians, though, can get a full complement of proteins if they mix the the vegetable proteins in the right manner and supplement with things that the body requires, that you don't get much of from vegetable sources. But the Mediterranean diet is a great one. We also don't have, we're not dogmatic on the diet. So we look at preferences. You know, what is a person's preference when it comes to diet? Because if you're being forced to give up something that is just something you absolutely love to eat, you're not going to stick with it. But you know, we can do it in moderation, and and just understand, you know, what consequences are. It's going to slow the weight loss, or it's going to slow the resolving of the blood sugars and metabolic health. Um, but diet is a big thing, and exercise. I mean, even if you can just walk a minimum of 7,500 steps a day, it will increase longevity dramatically. Just walking. It's not that you have to get in the gym and throw around weights, and you know, do movement like qigong. I mean, qigong is wonderful for keeping the joints healthy and promoting the longevity of those joints. Do it on a daily basis for 30 minutes. It's an easy thing to do.
Mm. I'm glad I can still microdose a little ice cream. That's good news.
Yeah.
Do everything else healthy. Well, it was an honor having you on, and I got a lot of people interested here. So please go to that website, reach out to Dr. Dan and his team, and hopefully get to see you all here in Austin at some point, and we can all have some tea and celebrate even healthier and more abundant future for us all. We have the tools, and please share this if you know anyone. You know, we talked about people with Alzheimer's and all these different things. So please share the good news. This is a beautiful update, I think, for the world, and really glad to connect and share this. Thanks so much, Dr. Dan.
And my social media is LinkedIn. That's where I do everything. So if you want to connect with me personally, LinkedIn is the place. You can send me messages there, but I don't do Facebook, and we have some marketing people that will do that stuff, but that's not me. So,
Okay, so we'll add your LinkedIn to the email we'll send out again here later today, and you look forward to seeing you soon.
all right. Been great being here. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Thank you.